Things are a little tough, and Robbie put it so beautifully in all the ways we have to adapt right now to live in a world that's different. That's not one we're used to. Change is the one constant in the world, but often it's just so minute that we don't realize that everything is changing all the time. But we happen to be right now in a time of great change, a time when we have to really analyze how we're showing up in the world and who we are. Now, this is the second day of our Adventure in Spirit program, and talk about change. Since we started in 1999, we had fall programs, and they started out being, I think they were 9 weeks long, and then 8 weeks long, and 7 weeks long. They were called Adventure in Faith, Adventure in Spirit, now that we moved here and have our new name. But there's always a time when we come together as community, a time we take a topic and delve in it, to have our service about it, and then have our circles, and then we have a potluck at the end, and we meet at people's homes, and we have food. Everything's different. Everything's different, but the feeling is the same. The meaning is the same. So we had a group get together, and Emily Van Cleve has written the curriculum for a long time, and she and Reverend Janet and Marianne Creeder got together, and they created a 4-week program that we're doing a little differently this year, but is working very well. So thank you, ladies, so much for your consciousness. And the theme this year is Weaving the Tapestry of Love. And we know that we are the artists of our own life. We create our lives thought by thought and choice by choice. We are creating our lives all the time. And so here we create this life, and it's like, I equated it to a spiritual journey, and I know we're all on a spiritual journey because we've had that inspiration inside of us. We felt that stirring inside that said, you know, there's more to life than just this physical world. Something else is going on. So we stepped on a spiritual path, and let me tell you, once you step on a spiritual path, it's really hard to get off. You might stumble off a little bit, but you get right up and get back, or somebody's picking you up. So you set out, and here I want to equate it to this. So it's like, here we are like a little boat, and we're on a spiritual path, and we get into this giant ocean. This inspiration is pulling us to travel, to find new things, to see a bigger world, and we get out in this little boat that's us, and we're in this big ocean, and we're filled with inspiration until we forget where we're going. We can't find out where we're going. We don't know. We can't see it here. We're so used to judging and seeing our life on the surface level by this physical experience that we don't know where we're going. And so instead of inspiration filling us, we get filled with fear. And that's what last week's theme was, a tear in the tapestry. We get our tears, and all of our tears, whether it's disappointment, anxiety, whatever it is, frustration, anger, it all boils down to a fear, because there's two basic, really basic emotions, fear and faith, or love, fear and love, two basic. So it's fear that gets us the tear, that we don't understand this bigness of life, and we start closing in on ourselves. In our beautiful tapestry, instead of seeing the big picture like you do when you have the picture of the tapestry, we get a tear. We look at the bottom of the tapestry, which is all these broken pieces, and we forget our place in this world. We forget who we are. But the beauty of this is, as Rob, you mentioned, change your thinking, change your life. We're changing all the time, and we have these active minds that know something bigger, something more. There's something more that wants to be revealed. So whatever our tapestry is, we have the power of choice, which is the biggest power we have. It's the greatest power we have. We can choose at any time where to put our attention, our focus, our thoughts. We can decide what to do with our feelings and emotions. We have the power of choice activated all the time. So we can look at that big tear, well, whatever size it is. I mean, I thought of a rug we have, and I thought, how are we going to fix that? Are we just going to ignore it and step over it all the time? Maybe. Are we going to look at it as a flaw and a problem and just tolerate it, and just every time we walk by it we go, oh, there's a tear in this, what am I going to do? Or are we going to put something over it and cover it up and be in total denial? We can do that if we want. We can mend it. We can try to bring it back to its original beauty. Or we can redefine it and decide, what am I here to learn? What am I here? This is a tear. What do I want to do? Make it a choice that we have. Empower us. Why is it worn? Now, my favorite piece of furniture in our house is my desk. And my desk used to be, gosh, brings tears to me, used to be our kitchen table. Not big, but it fits four perfectly. Kirk, Sandy, Tara, Deanna. It fit us perfectly. It was a table that we got, I think it was on Pico in Los Angeles. It was the old Helms Bakery building, and it was a place where different artisans or people would bring their goods and sell it, mostly furniture. And we bought this knotty pine table, and if you look close, you don't even have to look closely, there's stains of cups and glasses, and the kids' homework is kind of etched in it. And I love that because there are the flaws. I love that. It's the most important thing. Well, one of the most important things. I went up to my office this morning and I saw this book. It's kind of old and fallen apart, and it's The Science of Mind. And it was on my mom's bookshelf for a very long time. Now, it's falling apart because it's old, and I'm sure it's red. It doesn't have a single line in it at all. No highlighter, no markings. Now, my Science of Mind book at home is falling apart worse than this and has notes and lines and sections coming out of it. Dr. Jim knows because we talk about it every week. So it's falling apart too. So the flaws in these books mean a lot, because we've redefined them as something very important. I'd like to just read you the very first, I just plopped this open, and the very first, just quote at the very beginning of the book. It says, "These lessons are dedicated to that truth which sets man free from himself and sees him on a pathway of a new experience, which enables him to see through the mist to the eternal and changeless reality." So today's topic is mending the tapestry. After it's been torn, and I'll just say, if we use it from this metaphysical standpoint of saying, after we've gotten, the fear's gotten a hold of us, after that happens, what do we do to mend that tapestry? To change it and make it understandable. I want to read a quote, and unfortunately I don't know where it came from, but I'd like to share it because it means a lot to me when I read it, because I think this is probably the most important way to mend our life in every way. Most people don't really look with the gaze that pierces. Most people don't really look with the gaze that pierces. Few have it. What does the gaze pierce? The question mark. How many of us look at life and really look at it as, oh, what does this mean? What's the question? What is there for me? Look at the question part of life and say, there's something more. Life is always giving us opportunities to open up, oh yeah, oh wow, or close down. How many of you love discomfort? Oh, we have one. Most of us look at discomfort and go, oh, holy. You know, we see it as a big problem, and we want to run the other way because we hate it. We just don't want discomfort. But those of us, now remember I said we're spiritual, on a spiritual journey, those of us who have decided to be the spiritual warriors, and really, because we can, with this great mind we have, we can plug into two places. We can plug in to this physical world and see life in duality, or we can plug into spirit, where we see life as oneness with many different expressions, many different unique expressions of life. We get that choice to see where we are plugging into. Now, if we're plugging into this duality, we're not going to be looking at the question mark. We're going to be looking at the duality of life. And really, our whole problem is we are not lazy people. None of us. We're really, really busy. We're just busy doing the wrong things. We're busy looking at what's wrong, at what's different, at what's not working, instead of remembering there's a question, there's something more that wants to be expressed. There's something beautiful. When we're plugged into Spirit, we can remember, oh my gosh, yes, we may be different. There are some people I really like and some I don't. There's some places I like and some I don't. And there's some things here. We can remember all of that, but there's that thread. Remember I talked about last week in the weaving, there is the warp thread that is continuous and stable and doesn't move. It's the thread that holds it all together. The warp thread, or the wolf thread, is the thread that goes through, and it's always wiggling. It's the one that has all the hangy pieces on the bottom. It's the color. It brings color. It brings expression. It's good. It's just different. You and I need to remember there's something behind all the things that are changing all the time. There's something behind that is changeless, eternal, always. And that's what we're looking for. When we look in life to find the bigger picture, what's the question mark? It's Spirit that heals. It's Spirit that heals. You know, we opened up the Science of Mind textbook, and Ernest Holmes was writing about, in these difficult economic and political times, we have to look where the problem is. It's not in the economy or in the politics, because no government ever started itself. And money doesn't take care of itself. The problem is the thought behind the government, the politics, whatever it is. Where are the thoughts behind it? And he was writing this quite a long time ago. And that's what we need to see. Everything, our limitations begin within ourselves. And so if that's the truth, where can we fix the problems? Within ourselves, right. That's where all the problems lie, right here, and we can fix it. But it takes a new focus. We have to stop doing too much of the wrong thing, like practicing our duality and our separation and our differences, and start doing the right thing, which is understanding and our spiritual work, just as we heard today in our caring circles, the meditation, because there is that creative center within all of us. That powerful creative center that's plugged right into Spirit, that knows a creative idea. Maybe not the whole solution, but an idea that moves us forward. That in being in that little boat, not knowing where we're going, will be the guidance that won't get us to the end, but it will guide us where to go. That's Spirit talking to us, and that's what we want. So I'd like you right now, it's interesting, when we're looking at what's wrong out there, it's because we're looking at the surface things. And how often do we really sit and think of what is it that is essential right now in me that matters? And that's what I want us to do. That's my prayer for all of us, is we can say, what matters? I've been broken down several times this week and had to mend different tears in my consciousness. And I had to mend it and decide what is it that really matters to me. And it always brings me back to family, love, Spirit, goodness, kindness, all the qualities of God. That's where it takes me. So I want you right now to think about in your own life, where is your flaw, your tear, your upset? And we're going to talk about what do we do to fix it, to heal it, to mend it, to make it better. There's a story that if you were here 2 years ago during our Adventure in Spirit program, when Ariel Ford was here, and she has the book Wabi Sabi Love, which is finding the flaws and learning to love them. It's more about relationships, but this would be about anything. She quotes that in Japanese art, anytime there's a flaw, like in a pottery or in a painting or anything, they put gold in the flaw, because they realize anything that has the history to have a flaw, enough history to have a flaw in it, is beautiful because it has more meaning and more depth and understanding. And this is a story that she read, and it's about an elderly Chinese woman with 2 large pots that hung each one on the end of a long pole, and she would carry that pole with these 2 pots down to the stream every day, and she'd carry it back. The difference was one of the pots was just beautiful and perfect, and it could hold all of the water. But the other pot was flawed and had a crack in it, and it could only hold about half the water that she collected from the stream. So when she returned home, she would only return home with 1.5 pots of water. And she did this for 2 years. And of course, the pot that was perfect felt beautiful and accomplished, and it handled everything and did so much better than the other pot. Well, one day, the other pot that felt very insignificant, felt defective and flawed, said to the elderly woman, "I'm so sorry. All these years, I've let you down. I can't do my full work. I only carry half my weight. You walk all the way down to the stream and fill us up with water, and I only carry half my weight back because I'm flawed, I'm imperfect, and I'm broken." And the woman smiled at the pot and said, "Have you noticed, as we're walking home, there's beautiful flowers growing on your side of the walk? The flowers aren't on the other side of the walk, because I was aware of your flaw, and because of that, I spread the flower seeds. And every day when we walk home from the stream, you are watering those plants and those flowers, and I get to cut the flowers, and they bring beauty into my home. Without you, my home would not be filled with such beauty and grace." We just need to look at ourselves in a different way. Look at our life in a different way. Instead of seeing everything as flawed and broken and imperfect, which it feels like right now, we have to realize that, well, Leonard Cohen has a phrase in his song Anthem that says, "Ring the bells that still ring. Put down your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's where the light gets through." So just remember that right now, so much light wants to come through. So much wants to be revealed and born right now so we can know something more about ourselves, about life, and about each other. I want you to really think about what's essential in your life and ask, what do I need to do to know to grow? How do I need to grow? What do I need to do? How do I need to be kinder with myself and gentler with myself? That we can truly come together in a greater understanding, because our work is all in here, every bit of it. I'd like us to get together in consciousness and be the ones that can have a gaze that pierces through the separation, that pierces through the misunderstandings, that pierces through the right and wrong and good and bad and yes and no. And we can see the question being answered as the oneness that we are, right here and right now. And please join me in prayer, as we simply know together that there's only one power, one spirit, one God, one love, one goodness that is flowing through each and every one of us right here in this moment, that gives to each one of us equally love, light, wisdom, gratitude, abundance. It's all here for each and every one of us right now. And I know for us that we open up to this beauty of spirit, this light, that we move on from any of our thoughts of separation and lack and duality, that we move into this place of knowing our oneness with God, with love, with goodness, with joy. And that spreads out, that we see our oneness, not just with our family, not just with the people closest to us, but we see that we're all in this together, each with our own focus, our own vision, our own mission, and that each one of us is doing our work in a different way, with a different degree of opening to oneness, to spirit, to light, and to love. Let's let that love blossom through us as we step out of the division and separation and into the knowing that life is inherently good, that God is always for us and never against us. And that light within us, we have the switch to turn it on, the rheostat to make it brighter and lighter and make our life more understandable, even if we can't see it all, even if we don't know it all, that we are on the path of goodness and love. How good it is to be together. How good it is to know the truth. We simply leave these words, we let them go and we let them be given to the power, the one law that knows only to say yes to what we give it with our hearts and minds open. We say thank you, God, for all that we've been given. Thank you, God, for all that is left to be known. And we say thank you to ourselves and our community for holding life together. And in that, we just seal this by saying, and so it is. Thank you for being part of my goodness and my life. Together we make a difference. Thank you.